Part 1. The night I got locked in. I was 11 years old the first time I saw a dead girl walk. I need you to understand something before I start. I don't tell this story to scare you. Not really. I tell it because for 20 years, I've been the only person alive who knows the whole truth of what happened in Millbrook Hollow. And I'm tired of carrying it alone. My name doesn't matter. Call me Sam. That's not it, but it'll do. It was the last week of October, the kind of autumn where the cold comes in fast and mean, like it's got somewhere to be. I lived in a small town wrapped around a lake. Cutter's Lake, we called it. Though nobody remembered who Cutter was. The lake was the whole personality of that town. Fishing in the summer, skating in the winter if it froze solid enough. And every October, ghost stories about it, because that's what small towns do with bodies of water. They fill them with secrets. Part 1. The night I got locked in. I was 11 years old the first time I saw a dead girl walk. I need you to understand something before I start. I don't tell this story to scare you. Not really. I tell it because for 20 years, I've been the only person alive who knows the whole truth of what happened in Millbrook Hollow. And I'm tired of carrying it alone. My name doesn't matter. Call me Sam. That's not it, but it'll do. It was the last week of October, the kind of autumn where the cold comes in fast and mean, like it's got somewhere to be. I lived in a small town wrapped around a lake. Cutter's Lake, we called it. Though nobody remembered who Cutter was. The lake was the whole personality of that town. Fishing in the summer, skating in the winter if it froze solid enough. And every October, ghost stories about it, because that's what small towns do with bodies of water. They fill them with secrets. I want to be precise about this, because I've spent years being precise about it in my head. It wasn't a draft. It was like someone opened a door to somewhere much colder than October and left it open just for me. My breath started fogging in front of my face, and then in the corner of the shed, in the dark where the fishing nets hung like something skinned, I saw her, a girl, maybe 9, 10 years old, soaking wet, even though it hadn't rained in a week. Her hair was plastered flat against her skull, dark with lake water, and her lips were the color of a bruise. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the door like she was waiting for someone to come through it. And then someone did, or something did. The memory gets thin here, like a film strip burning at the edges. A shape, broad-shouldered, no face I could make out. And the girl, she started screaming without making a sound, if that makes any sense to you. Her mouth open, her body thrown backward against the wall, and the whole shed filled with the smell of the lake, that thick, green mineral smell, like the water itself had walked in with her. Then it was gone. All of it. Just me, alone, shaking in a shed that smelled like nothing but oil and rope again. I didn't tell anyone that night. Who was I going to tell? My dad found me in the morning, still curled up against the door, and he just figured Denny and Mark had pulled a prank, which I guess they had. He never knew how right and how wrong that was at the same time. Part 2. Her name was Ruth. I didn't go looking for the truth. The truth came looking for me, the way it always seems to with these things. 3 days after the shed, my little sister Callie found something in her Halloween candy bag that wasn't candy. A small silver locket, tarnished almost black, tangled up with a wrapped toffee like it had fallen into the bag by accident. I recognized the smell on it before I even opened it, that same green mineral lake smell. Inside the locket was a photograph, a girl, the same girl. I started asking around, carefully, the way kids do when they're trying not to sound crazy. I asked my grandmother, who'd lived in Millbrook Hollow her whole life, if she remembered a girl who drowned in the lake. She got very quiet. Then she told me about Ruth Callahan. Ruth had drowned 11 years before I was born. No, wait, that's wrong. Let me get this right. 11 years before that Halloween, she was 9 years old. The official story was that she'd wandered onto the frozen lake alone at night and fallen through thin ice near the boathouse. Tragic, simple, case closed. Except my grandmother's voice did this thing when she told me. This careful, sideways thing adults do when they're saying less than they know. She said Ruth's mother, a woman named Eleanor Callahan, never accepted the accident story. Eleanor spent the rest of her life walking the shoreline at night, calling her daughter's name, until one winter she walked out onto the ice herself and never came back either. Some folks say, my grandmother told me, that on cold nights you can still see her out there, walking the shore, looking for Ruth. I asked why Eleanor never believed it was an accident. My grandmother looked at me for a long moment. Because Ruth wasn't the only child that boathouse ever took, she said. She was just the first one anybody noticed. Part 3. The man everyone trusted. Here's the part of the story that still makes my hands cold when I tell it. There was a man in our town named Walter Voss. Everyone loved Walter. He ran the boathouse and the little tackle shop beside it, and every kid in Millbrook Hollow learned to bait a hook or paddle a canoe under his patient, grandfatherly instruction. He'd lost his wife young, no children of his own, and folks said that's why he poured so much of himself into his kids. That's what he called us, his kids. He taught me to fish that same October, the week after the shed. I didn't put it together then. Why would I? He was kind to me in a way most adults weren't. He noticed things. He remembered that I liked reading, brought me an old paperback about sea monsters once, told me I had a good quiet way about me, like the lake on a still morning. It was Callie who noticed the ring first. The same way these things always seem to come out sideways, through the people nobody's paying attention to. She was playing with the locket I'd hidden in my sock drawer, and she found, wedged in behind the photograph, a tiny folded scrap of paper. A child's handwriting. Just one line. If I don't come back, it was the boathouse man. I want you to imagine being 12 years old and understanding all at once in your stomach before your brain caught up that the kindest adult you knew had murdered a child. I started watching Walter after that. I know how that sounds, a kid playing detective, but I wasn't imagining what I saw. I saw him lock the tackle shop early on nights when there was no reason to. I saw him walk the shoreline alone after dark, the same stretch where my grandmother said Eleanor used to walk, grieving, everyone assumed, for his dead wife. I found out much later, too much later, that he wasn't grieving. He was checking, making sure the lake had kept his secrets. Ruth wasn't the only one. There had been others before her, and there had been one after, a boy from 2 towns over whose disappearance never even made our local paper. Walter had a whole shoebox in the back of the tackle shop, hidden under a false floorboard. Small things, a hair ribbon, a pocket knife with initials that weren't his, a child's fishing license. I didn't know about the shoebox yet. That comes later. What I knew, standing in my backyard holding that scrap of paper, was that I had to find out for certain, and that I was already more afraid than I had ever been in my life.
Part 4. Ruth finds me again. She came back 3 more times before the end. The second time was in my own room, 2 weeks after Halloween. I woke up at some hour that felt wrong, too dark for morning, too still for midnight, and she was sitting at the foot of my bed, dripping onto the carpet, the water somehow never spreading, like the room refused to let it exist anywhere but on her. I wasn't as afraid as I should have been. I think some part of me had already decided she wasn't there to hurt me. "You know his name now," she said. Her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater and from right beside my ear at the same time. "Say it." "Walter," I whispered. She nodded, and for just a second, she didn't look like a monster at all. She looked like a scared little girl who'd been waiting 11 years for someone to say a name out loud. "He put me under the ice," she said. "I could see him through it, standing there, watching, making sure." "What do you want me to do?" "Find where he keeps us," she said. "And find my mother. She's still looking for me. She doesn't know I'm found." The third time she came, she showed me. Not in words, but in a kind of waking dream. The way I imagine drowning must actually feel, cold and slow and strangely peaceful before it isn't. She showed me the shoebox, the false floorboard, the tackle shop. I broke in 2 nights later, using the spare key I'd seen Walter hide under a flower pot 100 times without understanding why I was noticing. The shoebox was exactly where she'd shown me. I sat on that cold floor with a flashlight in my teeth and counted 7 small items belonging to 7 children, going back almost 30 years. I was so focused on the box that I didn't hear the door. "You shouldn't be in here, son." Walter's voice from the doorway, gentle as always. That was the worst part. It was still gentle, even then.
Part 5. The truth, gently told. He didn't grab me right away. That's the thing nobody warns you about. How reasonable a monster can sound when he's cornered. He sat down on an overturned bucket across from me, like we were about to have one of our fishing talks. "I suppose you found Ruth's locket," he said. "Your sister's a curious little thing. Should have been more careful. You killed her." My voice came out smaller than I wanted it to. "I loved all of you," he said, and I could hear, "God help me," that he believed it. That's the part nobody understands. I never meant harm. I couldn't let you all grow up, leave, forget me, the way everyone eventually does. The lake doesn't forget. The lake keeps things the way they should stay. You're insane. Maybe, he said, and smiled. And that smile is the thing that still visits me in the worst of my dreams. But I've been very patient about it for a long time. He moved fast for an old man. I remember the shoebox scattering across the floor, small treasures skittering into the dark, and his hand closing around my arm like a trap built specifically for the shape of an 11-year-old wrist. He dragged me out of the tackle shop and down toward the dock, toward the black water, talking the whole time in that same gentle, terrible voice about how the lake would understand, how the lake always understood, how I'd feel peaceful once it was over, just like all his kids did. I screamed. I don't think anyone heard me. The town was 3 streets away and asleep, and the wind off the water ate the sound before it could travel. He got me to the edge of the dock. I remember the cold of the boards under my hands as I clawed at them. The black glass surface of Cutter's Lake stretching out in front of me like the mouth of something enormous. And then the water changed. Part 6. What came up from the lake. I've told this part exactly the same way every time I've dared to tell it at all, because I'm afraid if I let it drift even slightly, I'll stop believing it myself. The water in front of the dock didn't ripple. It rose, not like a wave, like something underneath it was standing up. A shape, pale and impossibly tall, water sheeting off shoulders that hadn't existed a second before, hair fanning out around a face I recognized even through the black lake water running down it like a veil. It was Eleanor, Ruth's mother, 11 years drowned, and still walking the shoreline the only way she could. From the inside of the lake, she'd never stopped searching. Walter froze. His hand loosened on my arm just enough that I fell backward onto the dock instead of into the water, scraping my palms raw on the wood, and I scrambled back on instinct, putting distance between myself and both of them. Eleanor didn't speak. I don't think she needed words anymore. She simply looked at Walter the way you'd look at something you'd been hunting for 11 years and had finally found. And she reached out one long, pale arm and closed her hand around his throat. He screamed. He fought. He was a grown man, strong even at 60, and it didn't matter at all. She pulled him off that dock like he weighed nothing, like the lake had been waiting patiently under the surface his entire life for exactly this moment, and the black water swallowed him whole. I want to tell you it was quick. It wasn't. I heard him under the surface for longer than I could stand, the water churning, his hands breaking the surface once, twice, fingers spread and grasping at nothing, and then not again. And then, just as suddenly as she'd risen, Eleanor was gone. The water went still, flat, silent, like nothing at all had happened, like the lake had simply closed its mouth and gone back to keeping its secrets the way it always had. I sat on that dock alone for I don't know how long before I could make myself move. Part 7. What the town never knew. They found Walter's shoebox 2 days later because I finally told my father everything. All of it. The locket, the note, the shed, the dock, and he believed me. I've never stopped being grateful for that. He didn't laugh, didn't send me to a doctor, didn't tell me I'd imagined it. He looked at that locket and that scrap of paper, and something in his face told me he already half suspected something rotten in that gentle old man by the water. The police searched the tackle shop and found the shoebox exactly where Walter had left it, scattered across the floor from our struggle. 7 children, some of them missing for decades, finally had names attached to their endings. Ruth Callahan's case was officially reopened and just as officially reclassified. Not an accident anymore. Walter Voss was never found. The town's official version was that he'd fled, ashamed and afraid once his crime started coming to light, disappeared into the night, never to be seen again. Only my father and I knew the water had never let him go anywhere at all. I never saw Ruth again after that night. I like to think that means she finally got what she was looking for. That somewhere on the other side of all that cold water, a mother and a daughter who spent 11 years searching for each other in the dark finally stopped being lost. Why I'm telling you this? Now I'm not 11 anymore. I haven't lived in Millbrook Hollow in a long time, and Cutter's Lake has a public swimming beach on it now, with lifeguards and a snack stand and families who have no idea what that water remembers. But every October, when the cold comes in fast and mean like it's got somewhere to be, I think about that shed and that locket and the sound of a grown man's fingers breaking the surface of black water and not coming up again. I think about how kindness can be the best disguise a monster ever wears. I think about how some griefs are strong enough to outlast death itself, and how sometimes, just sometimes, that's not a tragedy. Sometimes it's the only justice a drowned little girl was ever going to get. If you ever find yourself near a quiet lake on a cold autumn night, and the water goes still in a way that feels less like calm and more like waiting, I'd think very carefully before I asked it what it remembers. Some questions, once you ask them, don't let you take them back.